listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Central Hudson reminds you, when you're doing yard work, safety matters. If you use a ladder, be aware of overhead electric lines, including the service wire that runs to your house. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity with dangerous results. And be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a swimming pool, and you're working with skimmers, brooms, or other long-handled tools. Central Hudson wishes you a safe summer.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Good morning. To all Kingston Community Radio land, Mario Catalano, Hugh Reynolds, and this morning we are honored to have with us a special guest, Mayor Steve Noble from the city of Kingston. We're going to talk some Kingston business, some Kingston politics. We're going to discuss some Kingston legislation. We want to talk about a number of items. And so I want to wish and welcome the mayor to our show. We could probably start with what's new, but where would you like to begin, Mr. Reynolds?
Well, if you want to start with the most recent development, this idling law that the council approved unanimously, it comes to your desk, Mayor. Mario and I have rather strong opinions about how 9 people spend their time on legislation. This, Mario, if you could recap what the law entails.
Well, from what I gathered from the paper this morning, the individuals will no longer be able to idle a vehicle in the city for more than 10 consecutive minutes. And there were some exceptions. Did I mention the exceptions? There are exceptions.
The Democrats, I believe, are not included.
No. The exceptions were snow emergencies, heat advisories, and situations where I believe the outside temperature is below 25 degrees for more than 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Emergencies, emergency vehicles are not included. Traffic situations, not that there's that much of a traffic problem in the city. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I was delayed for more than a few minutes. So tell us about the genesis of this. I mean, obviously you had your hand in this somewhere, or somebody in your administration had their hand in developing this. Is this copied from another municipality? this unique to Kingston? Tell us about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, well, good morning. Thank you both for having me. I'm happy to be able to be on your show first time with you two, since you two have joined forces on Friday mornings. So
Way to put it. Yeah.
happy to be here. Idling has been an issue in municipalities across the state and across the country, right? Most communities have some sort of anti-idling law. People may not even know it, but already there's a state law that manages idling for commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to idle for more than 3 minutes in a commercial vehicle. I'm a CDL driver, and those first thing they teach you when you get your permit is about idling. And I think for Kingston, we have had a climate action plan for a long time that kind of gives us a look at what can we do to be able to improve the health and air quality here in the city of Kingston. And idling is one of the main sources of poor air quality in our kind of more densely packed neighborhoods. We actually have air monitoring stations located around the city, including on top of the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center. We just had a story in the paper, I think yesterday, 2 days ago, related to the wildfire air coming over to Kingston, and our air monitoring sensors were able to pick that up and showed how dangerous that air quality actually was for all of us to breathe in that day and a half to levels that we have not seen ever, in Kingston. But air quality and idling, it also becomes a nuisance. Some of the biggest complaints that we get from people who live and work uptown are the people who double park. And block traffic, are in the lane, and that makes it really difficult for people to get through, emergency vehicles to get through, and most of the people who are double parking are also leaving their cars on. And so it also presents a safety hazard. Not only are your keys in your ignition while you go into the store to pick up a sandwich, you're also leaving your car double parked. And so now it's going to allow our parking enforcement to not only give you the double parking ticket, but if you're there for an extended period of time because you feel like that point, it's a good time to go and get your hair done. It's really not an appropriate use of, how you use your engine. So I think that, it's, I'm not sure how many anti-idling tickets we're going to give out, but I think the point is that there's really, other than the exceptions that we have in the law, at $3 a gallon, there's no reason for someone to be burning their engine, for no reason at all. And so I think that it's really just a change in habit and so a lot of this is going to be just some education from our, we have a volunteer conservation advisory council and a climate smart commission that, will do a lot of the education work. But, our intent is not to harm anyone, but it's actually to help improve everybody's air quality, especially in the neighborhoods where we have people that, do these, where the idling is more of a problem. Again, it's not generally not on our residential streets. Generally we don't.
Mayor, let me ask you
go ahead.
this. You mentioned that you have air quality sensors in various locations. How is the air quality in Kingston, generally speaking, which leads to the question why you would, apparently you support this idling law, why we need to improve something that's maybe okay?
Yeah, our air quality is okay. It's not great. It's okay. It kind of is very similar to other cities in the Northeast. We have good days and bad days. When the wildfire smoke was here, it was a bad day. When we have really cold winter nights, we have some bad days. We have a lot of people that, when you turn on your furnace, all of that goes up. But because of where we live in the valley, we have a lot of nights where that smoke can't, and air quality emissions can't get out of the valley. Yeah. So it kind of hovers. So if you ever look outside of your street light and it looks hazy in the middle of winter, that's not good air. That's all of the air from your neighbor's furnace. And so we actually have on our air quality website, on the city page, we actually have all of the graphs that show, all of these peaks where air quality is considered by the EPA to be unhealthy for the normal resident, let alone the people that have asthma, that have all of these other diseases.
So if I'm a resident of the city, where would I go to find out if my air quality is healthy that day? Do you have, is there a site that you could point to for the people who are listening, perhaps where they could go and find out exactly what the situation is?
Yeah, so if you go to kingston-ny.gov, and I believe it's /air quality, we have all kinds of information. Some of it is, I don't know how real time our data that we have on our website is, but we produce weekly, monthly reports that get put up on the website to kind of give people a sense. We also have links to some of the state air monitoring data for our community. And so we try to build a resource page for people who are concerned about this. And this came to us from residents in Kingston. And so this is something that we didn't just come up on our own. We actually have been approached by multiple residents who have had issues based on their own health concerns, that they feel that they can't open their windows, in the summer because their neighbor is having an outdoor backyard fire, and that smoke is blowing into their window. It's kind of those neighborhood by neighborhood issues, but we then try to look at the bigger picture and say, look, well, we can't necessarily do something about your neighbor, but we can at least look at some of these bigger issues that municipalities do have control over when it comes to, things like idling. Because 10 minutes is, to us, plenty of time for folks to be able to have their vehicle running. Just turn it off if you're going to be somewhere for more than 10 minutes. So
one of the things that I thought of that gave me a reason to pause on this thing was Kingston is the county seat. People come from everywhere, not only to do county business, motor vehicle business, whatever, but this is a big boon to our local businesses. And
what is a big boon?
The fact that Kingston's the county seat,
yeah, okay.
that a lot of folks come from out of the county.
Yeah.
So the problem I had, one of the problems, but the one I saw that was glaring was the fact that you have to educate everyone about this new law. But so many people that come to Kingston aren't Kingston residents. They're here to do business, and you don't want to turn them off from doing business. And it is the county seat. So how do you get those folks educated, without giving them tickets? And that's the thing, because, not necessarily now. I'm not familiar with what goes on much now, but there were times when the parking enforcement people were a little onerous.
Aggressive.
Yeah, I think we have a better system worked out now. I think people, they like the fact that they can pay their meters remotely, on their phone now. We only have 2 parking enforcement folks, and they can't be everywhere in the city. And so I think we've come to the right mix of necessary enforcement, but also not overzealous, I think, at this point. But I do feel like for folks that are coming to Kingston for their first time, we have a system in place to be able to let people know that this is a warning, and if the same vehicle is seen again doing it, we can proceed that way. And just like with all of our tickets, there's always an appeals process. There's a judge that if they really want to contest it, they can go in front of and explain why. So I feel like this is going to really be utilized for those kind of egregious, vehicles. And to be honest, a lot of it are going to be the commercial vehicles that aren't following the current state idling law, and that are going ahead and having their big diesel engine truck that, parked outside.
Spewing.
Yeah, and I mean, that's
dirty stuff.
Yeah, and so that's really what this does, is this also enables us to be able to, more actively enforce some of the real problem areas. Our parking guys aren't going to really be sitting around waiting for these vehicles to idle right, unless they get complaints. So I think what's going to happen is that you're going to have someone that's been double parked on Wall Street for 20 minutes and their vehicle is on still, and I think a neighbor or a business owner is going to call that person in, and then my parking enforcement is going to stop by, and they're going to wait another 10 minutes and see that, okay, well, we now know that this person's been here for 30 minutes with their car on still. I think that that's egregious. And I think that that's what's going to happen more so than, a full court press on writing tickets for idling. But I think our messaging is that, there's really no reason for people to idle nowadays. I mean, if you've got a new vehicle, even traditional gas vehicles turn off now at stop signs and stoplights, and so you really can't idle as much.
All right, boys, we've done 15 minutes on
there's got to be other things you want to talk to me about.
Yeah, there's
my first time with you.
Okay, we got enough here.
What else?
Let's talk about something really larger. The federal COVID response funding is about. Is it 19 million, Mayor?
17.3.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's a number I'm sure is engraved in your heart. We want to compare the process on the county level with how the executive and the legislature are dealing with this, and on a city level and how you're doing it. Are they separate, entirely separate? You get a grant, they get a grant, all God's children get grants.
Yes, completely separate. I think the county received $34 million,
Yeah.
and we'll receive 17.
Now, the criticism on a county level is that it seems to be an executive operation. The executive set up as you've done on many issues, set up a citizen panel, including some legislators, to look at this grant and make recommendations to the executive. And then you know the history. Maybe some of the readers, the listeners don't. And then before this commission even had a chance to report out, the executive took out the biggest chunk of it, about $24 million, and announced his own 5 or 6 priority areas. That has caused some rancor, as understandably in the legislature. Where is the process at in the city of Kingston with your $17 million?
Sure. Yeah. No, we've taken a different process. From the beginning, we said to the community that we wanted to build what we called an economic recovery plan. We wanted to be able to develop that plan with the help of a planning firm. So the Common Council just approved at the council meeting this week the ability for us to hire a firm that's going to come in and work with the community to, similar to what we did when we received the $10 million downtown revitalization initiative. We hired a firm. The firm came in and then talked to all of the stakeholders. So they had ward meetings. They had meetings with business owners and stakeholders. They met directly with city staff. They met with Common Council members to really try to identify, what are some of the issues that we really could tackle with this money? What are some of the high priority issues? What are some of the projects that we've really wanted to get done but couldn't because we didn't have the resources? And that firm is then going to take all of those ideas from the community, from us as elected officials, and then they're going to go put it basically through the matrix of, applicability to the federal rules, because there is a 150-page, of course, with any federal grant.
We're going to ask you with that.
Have
the federal rules been posted?
Yes, so they have a whole page on the Treasury website that goes through all of the rules and regulations, and then we're going to go ahead and see which projects then meet the rules and regs, and then go to the Common Council with kind of a final plan. And our hope with that process is that everybody's going to feel included. Everyone's going to have a voice at the table. In the end, it is still up to the executive branch to implement. And so whatever ideas end up getting, finalized, they need to be doable, because, in the end, I'm going to be holding the bag of getting this project done and getting the money spent and being able to, have mine and my administration's name on the line as to, whether or not we're actually going to meet, the audit standards, because it's federal funding. So we're going to be audited, and we're receiving a lot of money for a small community.
Mayor, do you anticipate, as again, comparing apples and apples, I think, the executive is asking for openers, almost $300,000 in new staffing to administer this program. It's got to be way north of that, with support staff. This is just, for the executive staff of this new bureaucracy. Do you anticipate? Now you've got $17 million to administer.
Yeah, so what we're going to do and what we've asked the consultants to help with is really based on what projects we choose to actually do. They're going to do a staffing analysis to be able to demonstrate, if we pick projects X, Y, and Z, it's going to require to have this many staff. We don't know what that's going to be yet. How can we, choose how many staff we need until we actually know what projects we're doing? If we decide to spend all $17 million on one sewer project, well, we may not need.
You could do that.
Yeah, we could, right? I mean, and we won't need a lot of staff to implement that then. But if we decide to farm this out to, 30 different organizations and have 10 different COVID relief programs and do 5 different, loan programs to businesses, like it could then require a lot of staff. And I think that should all be part of the equation. Thankfully, all of the staff can be paid for out of the 17 million, which is good. But I think that we don't want to jump until we know kind of the projects.
Wouldn't this tend to, at some point down the road, Mayor, grow the city staff itself? The tendency is to put these grants come down the pike, and they're good for 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is 5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
5 years, and 5 years later, you've got people who've been working with the city and with your administration or the administration, and they're good people that do good work. Some of the stuff goes onward. What they call it? There's a word for it: creep, budget creep. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's whenever we have these big grants, we always have to hire people to work on grants. We currently are managing $45-50 million in grant funds right now for the city.
That's your city budget for 1 year.
Yeah, and so that's how much we're managing, and we've had to hire staff in various different departments and at different capacities. And when those grants are over, the employee either moves on to something else, or one of their counterparts retire, and we're able to then fit them back into the system. And I think that that's the benefit of having kind of the diverse workforce that we have, is that I've got a lot of people that have 25, 30 years in, and I also have a lot of people that have 1 or 2 years in. And so what's seemingly worked is that generally as we hire new people in certain positions, folks that aren't here or retire, and we're able to not really grow the number of full-time staff. I mean, the city of Kingston, from a kind of FTE equivalent, we are still down 20, 30 employees from 20 years ago. We are much smaller. I think at some point we had about 330 FTE.
There are smaller families now.
Yeah.
So there are not as many relatives to employ. You know what I'm saying?
That's how you get your job.
Yeah.
I remember when I was on the legislature, one of the legislators had 8 family members
on the payroll
working for the county.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if the families were smaller, he'd probably only have 4, and we could cut back,
Mayor, could we move to another subject, which is?
I have one
Go ahead,
just
Mario.
quick follow-up question. So, with the advent of the announcement that you were getting 17.4 million, 7.3 or whatever, are you? Has there been a little tension created with folks coming and look, I want to make sure I get my piece of this, and how and have you been able to maneuver around some of these, or is it just we'll take that up in good time? But are there a lot of people already in line? I guess that's the question.
There are a lot of ideas out there on how this money could be spent, and I think what we've been able to do is channel those ideas instead of me making a lot of promises that I can't keep. We've been able to channel those ideas into hey, we're going to have some community outreach sessions. We're going to do surveys. We're going to do some polling. Like, we want you. This is where you should put that effort of yours instead of just chatting with me about it. And so I do think that there is I think what we've also tried to do is we've tried to take a more a slower approach because of what's happening at the federal level with the infrastructure bill and with some of the other budget reconciliation process that the feds may be going through. There's just going to be a lot more money, we think, flowing to municipalities, and I think that we should really have an understanding of what that's going to look like before we decide how to spend the 17 million, because I would hate to spend all 17 of this on a sewer project when the new infrastructure bill may actually provide us with money for sewers that we've never seen before, or they may not. and we may not get a penny for sewers from the infrastructure bill. And so that then could mean that we really do need to consider that as a much higher priority, with the COVID relief money. So that's, I think, why we've also taken a little bit slower approach.
Mayor, where is the congressman on all this?
Yeah, so we, the Federal American Rescue Plan, this funding allocation was actually Congressman Delgado's kind of brainchild. He's the one that put together the math equation and got that bill passed in the House, and that is the funding allocation.
Mayor, you got a freshman congressman who apparently makes a living holding town halls. Are you telling our listeners that a freshman congressman is so influential? Maurice Hinchey himself was not that influential, and he sat on the Appropriations Committee.
I am telling you what
getting a little red in the face.
I'm telling you what I told him, or what he told me.
Okay.
All right. Then we'll take him at his word.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't make a move without Delgado. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, I think that there's a lot of support out there for it.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, let's move on, if I could, Mario.
And to the mayor's credit, I mean, he's got to deal with the congressman, and so we want to make sure that he gets the appropriate,
As the mayor indicated, this is fluid flux, if I may use that word. It's changing. He's there. He's representing us, keeping an eye on our, no doubt contacting. It's a huge district. Contacting dozens, if not hundreds, of municipal leaders, all asking probably similar questions. So I want to see, because I don't see a lot coming out of him, out of his office, about this on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't have to be day-to-day.
My impression is he tends to avoid a lot of controversial stuff, and he's kind of. I think he's trying to become a bread and butter congressman. I'm not defending him or anything, but he's just, he's nowhere to be found on some of these issues. And
I would say most.
This one's an important issue. This
is bread and butter.
Money to your district is what is what we send these guys to.
And I think that this work came out of the Problem Solvers Caucus in Congress, which is a mix of 10 or 15 Democrats and 10 and 15 Republicans. And I think that's
he's not in that though. He's not a problem solver.
I think he is.
No.
Maybe there's a different name for it. Maybe we're
the previous guy, Faso, was a problem solver. He was, but not
Gibson before him had another name.
Yeah, maybe there's a different name, but he prides himself on working across the aisle.
Okay.
So I think that's how he got this funding allocation in. So
now you are very fortunate. You have no aisle to work across.
Yeah.
Everybody's on your side of the aisle.
Our aisle is really wide here in
within the aisle. There's a lot of.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell that there's no other aisle here.
Yeah. All aisles lead to the mayor's office. We want to talk about public safety, which in my youth was described to me as government's first priority, keeping the public safe. And you spoke to it with air quality, things like that. To dealing with crime and other mayhem in Kingston. I believe you were at a forum. There was another forum, press conference where you suggested hiring more police officers. I think the number you cited was three. Excuse me. But again, it's in terms of philosophy in an era where some people are vehemently trying to defund and reduce police departments in a period of high crime in some places, mostly urban places. This is kind of counterculture, as it were. What's your thinking on this, Mayor?
Yeah, I have been, and as you know, Hugh, I've been on the leading edge of making sure that our police are held accountable. We've got body cameras for all of our officers since I've been here. We review every use of force that happens every day, by our police commission, which almost no other police departments locally do. And we've really gone to the very left of what we can do to make sure that our officers are accountable. But at the same time, we need to provide our officers with the tools to actually do the job that they're hired to do. And I think that that's, the part of my job as mayor and as ultimately in charge of the police force. When my police officers come to me and say, you want us to do all of this community policing, you want us to knock on doors and get to know neighbors, but we don't have anyone to do that work because we have to do all of this other work that you're also asking us to do. And so, I hear that, and so I want to be able to make that improvement. And so by hiring 3 new officers, by getting them the rescue armored vehicle that they asked for helping to get cameras, here in the city, we just got Common Council authorization to put up 29 cameras to be able to focus on our hotspot locations so that we can have a better opportunity to solve some of the crime that's happening.
Question on the cameras.
Yep.
Did that money come out of the budget?
It did.
Oh, it did.
The general fund.
No granting or anything of that nature.
No.
And the second thing is, who makes the decision on where the cameras go?
So we actually have, ultimately the police department, but we actually have a relationship with the Orange County Crime Analysis Center. So we actually have an employee that works for us that is a part of that operation, and so they do crime analysis for Kingston. And so we actually know, based on calls, investigations, where known subjects live, we actually have maps and data and graphs that actually show, this intersection is where 50% of the crime in Kingston ends up driving through in some way, shape, or form. And so we're able to create these hotspot maps. We know where they are in the city, and we now have the ability, thanks to this funding, to be able to actually have cameras located on those blocks, not directly facing into people's homes, but covering the block and the public areas outside, so that we'll be able to have that paired with our license plate reader technology that we have at, going up at intersections across the city as well, that we'll be able to basically, track movements of, known, criminal activity within the city. And we think that technology, as well as having some more people working for us out there in the community, building the trust and the relationships, we're going to then be able to not only get more kind of hands-on data from those porch-to-porch, neighbor-to-neighbor conversations, but then we're also going to have all of this other technological data that's going to help us solve and respond much quicker to some of these incidents.
Are you concerned with diversity in the police department itself?
Yeah, we are. And I'm mostly then concerned with the civil service system in New York State. And so while we don't want to be able to hire all 8 of your brothers and sisters, which is what the civil service system was created to prohibit, the civil service system has also created a really high bar for us to be able to have diversity, because it is a system that you have to take a test for, you have to pass a physical fitness test, and all of it is colorblind from a point of view where we can't ask, that on the forms. And so we all know that there's other, economic and diversity related issues that, keep people from even taking those tests, language barriers and all kinds of things. But by the time we get the list, we don't even know who's on it and what part of Kingston they could represent until they come in front of us to get interviewed. And so we, as you know, we have to take the top 3 off the list every time. And so unless you have African American or a Latino member of our community in that top 3, it's really hard for us to get to them.
Would you be in favor of, for instance, extending that to maybe the top 5? Or you've got to be
Civil service law.
Yeah, we would love to be able to get rid of New York State civil service law that requires that. We would love to be able to have the law changed, and we pushed this as part of the kind of COVID protocols when the governor was like, well, what executive orders, do you want? We wanted to have one that said, for this time period, we're going to prohibit or at least reduce the reliance on civil service to be able to, but that was never done. And it was, but it is something that we keep pushing with the state legislature to change civil service law, especially for police officers, so that we can do a better job of getting the diverse applicants. We're trying. We actually created some bilingual Spanish-speaking officer positions, so we now have at least three people on the police force that are bilingual.
What is the is the police department at full staffing now?
We are at 70. We just had someone retire 2 months ago, and we're waiting to backfill that position. So we're at 71.
That's full staff.
Full staff.
Will you include these officers in your upcoming budget as a
Yes.
You
Yeah.
will. Three?
Three. Yeah.
And what's the price tag for 3 officers?
Basically about 300,000
About 100,000 with benefits.
with benefits. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Till we start, it'll get higher than that.
The job has changed, obviously, but then people don't want a social worker coming to their house when they have something very serious going on. What kind of training has the training changed for rookie police? Ongoing training has it changed?
Yeah, I think for our officers, we have some of the best trained police officers, in the state. We're one of the most highly accredited police departments in the state based on our training. Some of the training that we really focused on, in the past, it was, hostage negotiation or some of those, kind of traditional policing techniques. But now the type of training is really the the mental health response training. It's the critical incident training. It's the how do you de-escalate these situations? Because, most of our police officers, have now gotten all of that training because half of the calls, probably more, are all generally related to some sort of mental health issue in the community. And we are finding people at their darkest hour. And it's up to our officers as the first responders to literally talk them off the ledge. I mean, we had an officer just 2 weeks ago talk someone off of the Delaware Avenue 9W overpass. I mean, standing on the other side of the fence, about ready to jump into traffic on 9W. And this officer was able to talk them down, and really should be, credited for his work, because without that, one, she could have gotten seriously injured or killed, and now she's getting the mental health services that she needs. And I think that our officers, though, it takes a lot of time and energy because they are not mental health workers. They are police officers. And so I think one of the things that we're also looking at in our budget is to help beef up our mobile mental health services. So Ulster County has a mobile mental health service. Basically, our police department can call and say, hey, we have a mental health situation. We need you to help us. Can you come respond? And depending on where the staff is, they could be in Ellenville, they could be in Accord. They can't always get to us in time, especially when you have a life and death situation. And so what we want to be able to do is have a relationship with mobile mental health where someone is actually located in Kingston all the time. So that, if we have an incident downtown, uptown, or in midtown, a mobile health professional will be able to respond at almost the same time that a police officer responds.
Mayor, if I may just tie up a loose end, and pardon me for not including it when we were discussing this subject, just to touch on it. The county has $34 million, and the last time I looked, Kingston was part of the county. Does the city does your administration have an ask for any of that $34 million, and if so, what would it be?
I think we're gonna, work together with the county executive on a couple of different issues. At least that would be my hope. I do think mental health services is one of the key. Anything that the county can do to beef up county mental health with this funding will help us all. And so I think that we see that as a real positive. I also think that we've carried a lot of burden in creating affordable housing and housing in general in Kingston. And I think that if there's a way for the county executive to support additional housing being built in the county, I think that that's a win-win for our residents as well and our future residents, because to be honest, as many people as I love having here in Kingston, I also don't mind if they live in the town of Ulster or Rosendale or Hurley, they're going to come here too. And I think that benefits us all if we, because we are a compact city we're running out of space. I mean, there's only so many places that we can continue to build here. And we have also a city infrastructure system that, some of it was built, 300 years ago. And so,
Taking up those wooden pipes again.
Yeah. So we just have to keep that in mind. So those are my asks.
Reconstructing the walls, right?
Yeah.
Stuck in. And, so, getting back to this need, I get a little perplexed because if I'm not mistaken, and you probably remember this better than I, Huey, but Ulster County had a very active mental health organization that was disbanded by the county executive. So what I don't understand is why, if it's such a need, we're not, at least that issue is not on the table. Of let's go back to providing the service that we had a very active service. Instead, they want to. Everybody's pointing the finger at the Westchester. We want you to provide the services that we were unwilling to provide. We took this right out of the budget and moved all those people out of here.
I mean, again, it was my recollection was that privatization isn't the right word, because I think most of the services move to nonprofits. And so I think what we see now is that our mental health system, is completely reliant on, nonprofits like Family of Woodstock, and, the Mental Health Association of Ulster County. And, Step One just opened an office here in Kingston. And, a variety of nonprofits really help fill that niche. And I think that, I would encourage the county, and I'm sure that is to try to figure out, where are the gaps still? Is it that, do we need more county staff in certain areas of the health and mental health department? Or do we need to better fund the nonprofits? Or, what is the best way to do this at the most cost efficient, because again, it does all come down to, though, when this money is gone, what's left and who's going to keep paying for these services. And so we have to also create a system that is sustainable for county taxpayers and city taxpayers.
Westchester's.
1 second. So we're here with Mayor Noble this morning. The call-in number is 331-9255. If anyone has a question for the mayor, now's your time to ask it. So 331-9255. Give us a shout if you have a question.
Actually, did get a call. A listener didn't want to come on, but will the parking meters be going back up on Broadway after the paving and everything's done?
No.
Really?
They're not. We haven't actually officially announced it yet, but we're going to be doing 2-hour free parking on Broadway.
Is that going to extend all the way down to the Strand, or it's that lucky, are we?
At this point, this pilot project is going to go from the roundabout all the way to the intersection of Pine Grove.
Excellent. So down to the Y then.
Down to the Y.
Cool.
Yep. And it will also include Grand Street and Field Court.
My wife's going to be very happy because she buys her fish on Broadway.
Yep. And she'll also be happy too, because we're actually, one of our infrastructure projects that is up next is that we're actually redoing the Prince Street, Cornell Street, and Sea Deli parking lots. So
great.
they're going to be getting completely repaved and redone. So that's a.
Speaking of repaved and redone, you had to address this, Mayor. Broadway. I don't drive Broadway anymore, and I think a lot of people run parallel streets. It's just nuts. I can feel my suspension breaking. I know you had to do they had to do a lot of underground work. You build from the bottom up, and the terrors that you find down there. When's this? I think you've spoken to this. Do you have anything resembling a firm date?
Yeah, pretty much Labor Day.
Pretty much is not as firm as I would like.
But Labor Day, so the roundabout is pretty much.
Labor Day, that's
around
3 weeks.
Yeah, so the roundabout is pretty much done. Wow. They finished the paving. We're finishing the paving today. and they'll be doing striping next week, and plantings will go in September as part of the fall planting season. But the roundabout is in essence done at this point, as of this morning. The Broadway streetscape project, the last parts of the curb have been placed, and so that will allow the paving to start. So we expect that by Labor Day, all of Broadway will be paved, or at least very close, depending, as long as the weather holds out on us. We had some delays earlier this summer with a lot of rain, but so far we've had a couple good weeks, and so we hope by Labor Day we'll have Broadway paved. The contract says that they're supposed to be done by September 15th.
Who
So
did the paving on Washington Avenue? Was that your?
so that was New York State DOT. So that's actually Washington Avenue is the DOT road, as is Albany Avenue, just for everyone out listening. So, because I know Albany Avenue is in rough shape. But they did that, and Catalano, they hire locally to do that work. So
Excellent.
they did a great job. But yeah, so it's a $25 million investment that the city has made. A lot of it being grant funds, some of it being local dollars.
The city's investment is $25 million?
No, total. Between the New York State DOT project and our streetscape project, it's a lot of money going into Midtown. And I think that that's the biggest infrastructure we've ever seen going into the heart of our city. So we hope that when it's done in a few weeks, you will then be back to driving on Broadway. The all-new signalization's going in next also, so you'll be seeing all-new traffic lights. You see the poles up there now without traffic lights on them, but that's over the next few weeks you'll be seeing those lights going up, and they'll all talk to one another, so you won't get every single light on Broadway. They'll all be green or they'll all be red, and traffic will, it's supposed to cut down substantially on your wait time along the Broadway.
The idling time. That's one of the things that, we talk about, this idling. You can sit at, trying to make a right turn, on Albany Avenue onto Clinton. You could sit there for 10 minutes waiting to make that right turn. So
yeah, and that can, so as part of our $10 million downtown revitalization initiative grant, that intersection is being completely redone. We're going out to bid this fall for a spring 2022 construction, and so that whole intersection will be redone, all new lights. We'll be putting lights up at Westbrook Lane and John Street. They'll all talk to one another, and so you'll be kind of, it'll fix that whole little traffic jam that happens there.
We're not headed toward a completely stop sign city.
We're not.
Elimination
Nope.
Okay.
But we're trying, but we could only, we can only put stop signs up when we do these traffic warrants that say that we don't have enough traffic.
This is only one motorist gripe, and I've lived in this town my whole adult life. I'm not a Kingstonian because I wasn't born and raised here, and I didn't go to Kingston High School. I'm a transient, but any number of street projects that I've seen done in Kingston, particularly Broadway, is they recess manhole covers. Now, I understand that you've got to plow, but you don't have to create potholes. I hope the contractors are looking at that and working on that, because you spend $25 million on a as you said, the biggest investment in history in the heart of our city, and you have to weave your way down Broadway to avoid these damned.
Yes, and so I have to say that over the last 2.5 years, our DPW leadership and I have really worked to make sure that for all of our paving projects, we are resetting manholes, bringing them up to grade, for all of our city-owned manholes. So the concern is that not all of the utilities feel the same way we do about how important it is to bring their manholes up. And so just because there's a round hole in the road doesn't mean it's one of our sewer or stormwater manholes. There's Central Hudson manholes, there's Verizon manholes, there's water department spigots. And so not everyone cares as much as we do. And so you may see that we do our job raising, but there are others that don't. And it's difficult for us to mandate that they do. And we're not allowed to touch their equipment, if you will.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's something that is it is a challenge, but we really have tried to develop better relationships. And so Central Hudson and the water department and others, we're actually all now talking and actually doing a much better job. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, if you think of the work that we did on Washington Avenue, Broadway, all of our, Pearl Street, all of those that we just paved, all of those are back up to the correct grade, the way they're supposed to be. So
I have a I have an ask, and with that 19 point, whatever it is, 7 point, in my opinion, okay, and again, I live in the town of Ulster, but I spend a lot of time in the city of Kingston, do virtually all my business, bakeries, this, that, whatever, dry cleaners. Anyway, in my opinion, the crown jewel of this city is Dietz Stadium, and that park and Forsyth Park. I mean, just that, to me, that's just like,
you bring visitors to that park.
Oh, and a quality of life issue. I mean, beyond belief.
So I have an answer before you even ask me. You ready?
Yes.
It's $10 million.
We are announcing this month. It's 100th. Dietz is celebrating its 100th anniversary in August of this month, and we're going to be having a little event and celebration to mark that, and we'll be announcing that we'll be announcing a now $15 million capital plan that we're launching. We've already raised $5 million out of the 15, and so I'm going to be asking the City Council for a $10 million bond to borrow for 30 years to be able to completely renovate Dietz Stadium. We have designs and details all made up already as part of our contract with the state. We've got the $10 million to help us start this project. And we're going to do everything from the grandstands will be redone. We're going to put handrails on the grandstands. We're going to put a tunnel opening in the center of the grandstand so the sport teams can go right directly into the locker rooms. We're going to be redoing the track, redoing the field, a new video scoreboard at the end, and brand new pavement. The whole parking lot will be repaved. Access for buses will be improved, and so we're excited about that. The school district will be sharing in the costs of that 30-year bond based on an agreement that we have with them, and so it literally will be pennies on the dollar, we think, because the return on investment is just going to pay dividends for the next generation of sporting events, Kingston athletes, and all of the community uses that we get at Dietz Stadium. And so I'm going to be making that pitch to the public and to the Common Council later this month, and I hope that it'll be well received and that we'll be able to move full steam ahead. We already do have $5 million committed, so we already are going to be making upgrades to the locker rooms, the bathrooms, and repaving the parking lot. Already, that's already guaranteed. But we really want to do the whole stadium and get it all done at once, because it's just everything is aging, and the turf and the track are at their end of their useful life. It was done almost 10 years ago, with a partnership with the Bruderhof, and so it's getting to the end.
Mayor, is there any parking at the stadium for big events? Is always like Kingston graduation, things like the really, really big events, has always been an issue. Is there any room on that footprint to expand parking?
Yeah, actually, we have a brand new master plan. So if you actually go to engagekingston.com, you can actually see the new master plan, and we're actually able to change the way kind of the layout of the stadium is, and actually add parking officially kind of along the fence line on the outskirts, which tends to be kind of an underutilized area.
Exactly.
Trailways also used to use a lot of the parking at Dietz, but there has been a major shift in terms of how many people are taking the bus to New York City these days, and so they no longer rent any of the parking in the front of the stadium. If you ever noticed, there was big Trailway signs there, and they rented about 100 spots, and now those are no longer used by Trailways, and so that's freed up some more parking. But once the whole lot is repaved and relined, we're going to be able to get, I think, some more people into the facility, and it's also going to really create, a better connection to Forsyth Park, because it still feels as though they're not really married together. And so as part of our master plan, we want to be able to make sure that, people recognize that, well, if the parking is full of Dietz, there's also parking at Forsyth. There's a lot of parking up there, but people just don't know and they can't get to it, and there's no signage. And so it's a big project, but I think it's needed.
Any thought to expanding the zoo to do more educational programs and things? I don't know if Mark still runs it, but I can tell you the guy's phenomenal.
Yeah, he does, and we've been, thanks to the Friends of the Forsyth Nature Center, there continued to be investments. I was there this week. Thank you very much. Mark is building new things. We just completed a brand new boardwalk, one that we built almost 15 years ago, needed to be redone, so that was done. He's been working so hard, and just the we have a nature camp that we've run during the summer that's been super popular. My son's actually participating in this week's session, and it's a great family-free facility. And during COVID, we had a lot of people that were able to come out, feel safe because it was outside in a park, and we actually, we're happy to see how many users we actually had, during that difficult time, which we're still not out of. But it's a facility that I hope people continue to care about, because without the community, without supporters of people like you, the city itself, does what it can. We provide the food, we provide the staffing, we do all of that. But the Friends, just like any nonprofit, they help give that little extra touch, so that we can spruce it up more so than some of our other parks.
Well, that would just be terrific, because that stadium is, in my opinion,
It's a jewel.
Yeah, and Ron Woods calls me all the time to talk about it, and it's a something that he cares really deeply about, and as a longtime recreation commissioner, and we've been really clear that when it was named Dietz Stadium, the Robert H. Dietz was kind of left off the name on the official sign out front, and so we're going to make sure that he's recognized for
You know
his.
what the H stands for, don't you?
No,
Herman, his
Herman.
father. His
That's
father.
That's
Herman
good.
Dietz.
That's nice.
They're buried next to each other at what's the cemetery on which one is it? I can't remember. But our American Legion does honors Sergeant Dietz every Memorial Day, and one of the guys, and we place a wreath. And it's all very formal, and a rifle salute. It's a very nice thing we do. And one of our guys who was new to the color guard placed a wreath in front of Herman's grave to guffaws from the color guard. So that's how I know it's Herman.
Nice. Yeah.
We're getting near the end now. It's about 5 minutes. Mayor, we'll give you a minute or two if you want to wrap up with any other news you have. But headlines: you're no stranger to controversy with the governor in the situation he's in. A lot of people are calling, including some leading county officials, the comptroller and the executive, who had called for his resignation before, but with the Attorney General's report, what's your feeling on this?
So when when the allegations came out, I did not call for his resignation. I felt as though there should be due process. I feel like everyone deserves a chance in court, if you will, and I think that the independent investigation that the Attorney General put together with some pretty top people who seemingly know their stuff, I felt we're going to do a thorough job, and it was going to be an honest look at what happened. And after reading and seeing the report, I too joined with my colleagues, and including the Lieutenant Governor, to basically say that we agreed that he messed up and that he should resign. And so for me, that Governor Cuomo's been a big supporter of Kingston. He has really he's supported our administration to do a lot of great work. And many of the state employees that I worked with have all been absolutely fantastic. And much of his staff have really gone above and beyond to help our state during this COVID crisis. But you just can't treat women the way he treated women, and it was just inappropriate. And so I do think for the good of the party and for the good of the state, I think that he should just step aside and let us move on as a community and as a state, and allow some other folks a chance.
The only thing I take exception with is, and again, I have no direct evidence, but when I'm just not sure that I am comfortable with Letitia James naming the investigative unit when everybody in the state knows she wants his job. I mean,
he's made that point too.
Yeah, I mean, she has, you have to be blind not to realize that she's been running for governor since she became Attorney General. And then, so what we're asking here is we ask the person who has the most to gain from getting rid of him to appoint independent. So she goes off, and I know one of the attorneys that she appointed was a major anti-Cuomo guy. I don't know. I have no sympathy for the governor. Let me just say that. But I would have thought that we could have had a couple of judges maybe, or somebody who didn't have a political axe to grind. And the one attorney I'm sure did, or at least on numerous occasions he had been an embattled opponent of Cuomo's. To put him on the commission, to me, watered down that whole situation. 11 accusers.
It's a big number.
That's substantial, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say that I'm more concerned about what's going to happen after Cuomo. At least with Cuomo, we know what we got. Okay.
Better the devil you know.
I mean,
let me, if I could get a word in on this. I'm with the mayor, at least initially. Due process seems to be going out the window here. This is not. This is a process, and there may be criminal procedures upcoming. He hasn't been proven guilty of anything, and there's demands for him. And with respect to you, Mayor, and the other officials, there are demands for him to step down. I'm not. The court of public opinion, I think, is out there. His ratings are shot. It's perhaps he can't govern anymore. But I'd like to see this thing in court. I've covered 100 cases where the DA, the district attorney, accuses somebody of heinous crimes, and it goes before a jury, and the person is not found guilty, and he may be guilty, but again, I'm troubled by this, because if it can happen to the governor, it can happen to anybody.
And again, I think that it is just one of those things where at some point, if the integrity is lost for your office, it's hard to govern. And I think it'll be interesting to see how the next few weeks go, especially with the Assembly completing their investigation. And, if they go forward with impeachment proceedings, first time since, 1913?
Yeah.
It'll be, it's going to be hard to get things done.
They can call Nancy Pelosi in as a consultant.
All right. I think we're done, aren't we?
Yeah, look, we got to go to break. Mayor Noble, thank you for coming in this morning and giving us an hour of your time.
We have another hour.
We will be back after the break with birthdays, everyone.
Oh, now we get to have some fun.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer? The Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drugfacts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, supervisor of the town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Okay, we're back.
It's on the 6th.
It's 8 o'clock. It's Friday morning, Kingston Community Radio. Mario's favorite time of the day is birthdays. Do we have, how many we got in there today, Mario?
We have two birthdays today and one on Sunday.
Excellent. Take it away.
And nobody on Saturday.
Well, they should have got them in then.
So anyway, okay, it's time for our favorite part of the show, which is to wish happy birthdays to those who have survived another year. So first up today on Friday, August 6th, says, please wish a happy birthday to Lisa Reynolds, no relationship to you, from your friends and family, and all those you keep on schedule every day. Good job, Lisa. And we also have a wish a happy birthday to Alice Legg from your friends at the Town of Ulster Senior Club. And the winner of today's famous Boyce Brothers Dairy Milkhouse Cow Pie for Friday, August 6th is Alice Legg. Congratulations, Alice. And you may pick up your cow pie at the Boyce Dairy Milkhouse, 62 O'Neill Street in Kingston. And we wish to thank the Boyce Brothers Dairy and the Kingston Community Radio for providing the cow pie. And we have no birthdays on Saturday, but on Sunday, August 8th, we have a happy birthday to Ada Hartram from your friend Diane. And of course, due to the fact that there is no competition, Ada Hartram is going to be the winner of the Boys Dairy Milk Cow's Cow Pie. And Ada, you may pick up your cow pie at the Boys Dairy Milk House on 62 O'Neill Street in Kingston. And congratulations to all the birthday people. Now,
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday. So let's get down to business here, Mr. Reynolds.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about, we touched on this a bit previously. Evidently, the governor has some major issues here. Now, you know, I understand the concept. As an Italian American myself, you know, we hug everybody. I hug everybody, you know, and I think that's part of his defense. However,
I don't think you can compare hugging family members and friends
to touching in places that are
to what he's
inappropriate.
accused of here.
Yeah. So my thing is, you know, as you are, you know, an experienced political columnist and have been for many, many years, where do you think all of this goes? First, do you think he resigns or is impeached? What is your take on this? I mean, I think those are the two options. Okay, I think if he doesn't resign, I'm pretty sure they're going to impeach him. No? You think there's a third option that he survives?
Yeah, I think there may be a third option. He is, after all, the governor, and he has a great deal of power, which he is most willing to exercise. One of the accusations against him is that he's coercive and vindictive, and it's a miracle how this guy got elected 3 times with that kind of. Nobody likes, as you point out, he doesn't make friends. Except maybe Carl Hastie, who if I think if Carl Hastie, the Speaker of the Assembly, comes out against Cuomo, it's curtains. I think that's his last standing ally. That's important.
I think Hastie has to come out. There are too many folks in the Assembly who the executive branch has perhaps not respected appropriately. I think that as an Assembly person, you've got to come down on the side of women, and you have to be against any type of sexual predation. So I actually think the table is set. Here's my prediction. Okay, my prediction is there are 4 district attorneys who are looking at criminal charges.
Yeah. I was going to go there too.
I think a deal gets made. I step down, and we don't hear anything about any criminal charges. That's I think, knowing Cuomo the way he is, and how he likes to leverage his power, his bargaining chips, etc. But the only thing he's got left is, I'll leave peacefully, but you guys aren't going to prosecute me.
Nixon and Mike.
Something like that, you know. Maybe the next governor pardons him. Maybe they don't do to him what they're doing to Trump, you know, demand his tax returns and, you know, all this other personal stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just move on.
Yeah, I think that may be the you know, the way out for him. I think he's a very proud man, and I think he's got to have some place to go and something to do.
It's a huge thing to give up the governorship, which defines him in so many ways.
Even when his father was governor, it defined him.
Yes, it did. But if even half of what he's accused of is true, and it hasn't been proven yet, if even half of it is true, I don't think his resigning is sufficient punishment. He's done these things to women, staffers, etc., different levels of abuse, emotional, physical, etc. He shouldn't just walk away into the sunset because he had a little power left to make a deal. I think he needs to be punished, and it's substantial punishment to give up what he values the most in his life. But I don't think it's enough.
I think that the folks that enabled him are also going to be in. They're going to be in some trouble because he had, it appeared that he employed these enforcers, and they were very comfortable with this power over people, and they didn't mind. Yeah, right, exactly. They didn't mind abusing and
threatening
and oh yeah, this was
punishing.
Oh yeah,
the whole plethora.
So I think that there are some attorney generals, not attorney generals,
district attorneys.
District attorneys. I know Albany district attorneys looking, and maybe the Manhattan district attorney. I don't know where else these days.
We haven't heard from Ulster, have we?
The Ulster district attorney's too busy trying to, get the office in order. Just getting people before a grand jury seems to be a task.
Not easy. There is the other elephant in the room, which isn't even talked about, is the nursing home scandal. People died. Thousands of people died, perhaps because of his policies.
So let me ask a question, okay? The Attorney General, Mr. Garland, has decided not to investigate that or to.
You mean the nursing home thing?
The nursing home thing. The federal government has decided, even at the request of numerous legislators, has decided, this is nothing we're interested in. I throw this out because the previous president, Trump, was, every time the guy said something, he was accused of trying to manipulate the Justice Department, et cetera, et cetera.
I believe it was more than trying.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. However, that's only, and again, my opinion was that he was very sloppy in covering his tracks. But how is it that this Justice Department doesn't prosecute or even investigate this issue?
I don't know. It's a rhetorical question, but I think their interest, other than the moral side of it, is financial. The federal government pumps billions of dollars a year into nursing homes in New York State, and if he's not interested in how that money was used or abused, maybe they should have made him a Supreme Court judge.
Exactly. Well, let's put it this way. He walked away from it, and it doesn't appear like that whole investigation is going to go anywhere. But in my opinion, that's so much more egregious because people died. I mean, people died. A lot of people died. I had my aunt die. So people are not too happy.
Your aunt is quite elderly, wasn't she?
Yeah, well, she was 94.
Yeah.
But still, you know.
Yeah, it's a loss.
They were moving these people in and out of nursing homes, and there were the federal government had sent a hospital ship to New York Harbor, and these people refused to use it because, well, Trump sent it. You know, we're not going to, they weren't going to give him any credit, even if it cost people their lives. That's the way I see it, and it was just shameful behavior, and that's where I take really strong exception, not only to him, but to Dr. Zucker, who, was calling all the shots here, so to speak. I mean, maybe he wasn't, but, I mean, how's that guy?
I think only one person. I think only one guy calls the shots in the Cuomo administration.
You're probably right there. Anyway, so let's move forward. Cuomo resigns. Cuomo is impeached. Who knows what? But
he's gone.
He's gone. Kathy Hochul becomes the governor. Do you know if she gets to appoint the lieutenant governor, or is that lieutenant governor's position just left empty until the next election? I haven't done the research on this. I didn't know if what the
process is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't recall because there's been vacancies in that office in recent memory. And I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, when Patterson moved up, I don't think they appointed
a lieutenant. I think I think you're probably right.
So Kathy who takes over. She's there. It was the whole ticket balancing thing. Male governor, female lieutenant governor.
New York City, Western New York.
New York City, Western New York. The old. Let's see if we can cover as much territory as possible game that the politicians play. So, Kathy Hochul now becomes the governor, and she is a woman from Western New York,
Erie County. I believe.
Erie County has. What are her chances? What are her chances of actually running for governor in 2 years?
I think about the same as Malcolm Wilson's chances were, which were nil. I think within the Democratic Party, she's no doubt, she's been pretty much, which is the role of lieutenant governor. Mario Cuomo was a lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
Who didn't get along too well with Hugh, the governor, but I think the front runner, it might be a more crowded field, is Letitia James. And I'm not sure Hochul can compete with her in terms of fundraising. Coming out of Erie County is no kind of base compared to coming out of New York City.
Yep.
So I don't think I would be surprised if she even challenges.
So you think she just retires after two
terms, 8 years?
Yeah, and so now the field is open. I agree with you that I've said this all along, that even if Cuomo stayed in office, Letitia James was going to primary him. And I think he's had a couple of primary opponents in the past. He didn't fare all that well in primaries.
I don't know, Mario. I would dispute that. I think he crushed his opponents. They only led on paper, in the papers. They got 33 or 34% of the vote.
Yeah, there were no name opponents. Now you got
no names with no money.
Yeah, and you got now Letitia James, who has run statewide, has incredible fundraising capabilities, has had the bully pulpit as Attorney General for 3 or 4 years, had a major position in the city.
Was she a borough president?
No, she was. I think she was some sort of ombudsman, or there was. I can't remember exactly.
I think even de Blasio would be interested.
Yeah, well, de Blasio. I would love to see a Letitia James de Blasio primary. That would give me. It would be so heartfelt to watch de Blasio get taken down from 6'5" to 5'2" in no time at all by her. But the thing that concerns me is she's got the name recognition, but I'm not sure we know a lot about her politics. I'm not sure we know a lot about her ability to run a statewide organization. I mean, Attorney General's office, she takes over. 95% of the people have been lifers. They've been there forever. All of a sudden, she walks in, she names a couple of top aides, and that's the whole thing. And all they do is one aspect of business. They don't do any economic development. They don't do anything else. So let's assume Letitia James, and as you know, on this show and elsewhere, I have predicted that she was going to be the next governor way before this scandal. The day she became Attorney General, I said she's taking this guy out in 4 years. I mean, there's just no way she wasn't.
Despite the fact that he promoted her.
Listen, let me just tell you.
No honor among thieves.
There's no, especially this group of thieves, so now with this particular scandal and everything else, does a Republican have a chance in 2022? I mean, Lee Zeldin outraised Cuomo. Lee Zeldin raised $3.5 million in the last quarter. Are there any issues in New York State that would lead to possible upset by a Republican? This guy Zeldin he's a force to be reckoned with.
How so?
Well, he's raising some serious money.
All right.
$3.5 million in that quarter was more than Molinaro and Astorino raised combined.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty low bar that Molinaro and Astorino set.
Yeah, but he outraised Cuomo in the quarter. Now, of course, Cuomo was a little under fire, and and he's he's already got 13 or 14
Didn't
million.
Cuomo put on was it July or maybe late June, a major fundraiser at the Waldorf?
Yeah, 10,000 a plate.
Yeah.
You didn't attend? Oh my God!
I couldn't afford a spoon.
Yeah, I didn't even get an invitation. I don't know. I could have gotten a second mortgage on the house.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I understand there was not much reporting on it, but through the grapevine that it was rather well attended. I mean, lobbyists and the type of people that contribute to these things, hedge their bets.
It was hard. Folks showed up in masks so they wouldn't be identified.
But somebody's going down a list from the last fundraiser, and if you weren't there, you might get threatened.
No, if you're doing business with New York State, this guy had no compunction about that. So let's assume that Letitia James becomes the nominee. Okay. Is her lieutenant governor male or female?
What do you mean?
She gets to pick a lieutenant governor. Letitia James now, we're creating a scenario. She becomes the nominee.
She doesn't have to step down.
She's from New York. Yeah, she does have to step down because she will be running for re-election at the same time.
But she doesn't pick her nominee. She doesn't pick her successor. The voters do.
No. She picks her lieutenant governor candidate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now to lieutenant governor. Let's go to the, let's move on.
Go back to balance.
She whips Kathy Hochul in a primary, and she's got a ticket, because she's got to go into the primary with a ticket. So Hochul's from upstate. So one of the things she has to do to mitigate Hochul's standing upstate is, in my opinion, she's got to come up with an upstate lieutenant governor on her team.
Where are you going with this?
No, I'm trying to figure out what works here. Okay, so the way I see this, is she going to run a 2-woman ticket? I don't think so. I think she'll select a male to be on her ticket. And I also think she'll have to select a male from upstate New York to balance out her ticket, because you got the Assembly Speaker from Brooklyn, you've got the Senate leader from Yonkers, and now you're going to have the governor, if she wins, from New York City. So are we even part of this state? So you gotta, at least you gotta try and fool the folks into thinking that you care about upstate. So I'm looking around, okay, at some of the possibilities, and I can't help but notice that there are some male upstate Democrats who have made a major left turn, and they've become the darlings of the progressive movement. And one of them happens to be our county executive. So I'm wondering if there's a chance that this could be a James Ryan ticket. What are you thinking?
Well, he's going somewhere. We don't. We're not. We have no idea.
Where else can he go?
Oh,
the congressman is same age, so he.
The congressman's about 5 years older, but they're the same generation.
Delgado's. He's settling into a lifetime of being, on the public dole. And having town hall meetings for the rest of his life.
I thought, quite frankly, I thought Delgado might have been gone by now. I thought, again, one observer's opinion that he would have wound up in the Biden administration in some high level position.
Yeah, people who took positions with Biden, I think, were a little short-sighted, because, first of all, he's only going to be a one-term president. He can barely make it to one term. Folks who have known him and are reporting, in some of the things I read, not necessarily from the right side, but even from the left side, say he seems to be losing a little pop off of his fastball. I've heard that. The elevator's not going to the top floor, whatever. There are various things used to describe his mental acuity. And, taking a position with a president who and who doesn't really seem to have a grasp and control, that's a little dangerous. I think maybe if a very strong Democrat wins the next time out, and it's an 8-year gig, then, at that point, you've got a nice 8-year block of time. But 2 or 3 years and you're out, and now, you're unemployed at Delgado's age. That probably wasn't all that attractive, and maybe maybe the folks in Washington are seeing something that we don't see here. You know, you just don't know. Maybe he could have coordinated Biden's town hall meetings. He's very good at that. He could have been a town hall coordinator. I'm not sure. I'm just I'm not sure, but
I think just having been a member of a White House staff, perhaps, or even a deputy cabinet official carries long-range positive consequences for the person, despite the president.
Oh, I think it's a great resume builder, no question about it. And once you go there, but I'm just not, I'm not sure. I think he feels he's pretty much in a bulletproof district, although he isn't. His opponent in the last election is already announced. Now, if he can, again, I am seeing a campaign that doesn't know how to run against an incumbent. So, in my life, I have managed campaigns and been involved in campaigns where you challenged an incumbent, and I've been involved in campaigns where you were the incumbent. Those campaigns are run very, very differently.
Yeah, speak to that.
And so when you run a campaign against an incumbent, as this gentleman is,
Kyle Vanderwater.
Yeah, right. So it gives you an idea. I don't even remember his name because he gets so little ink. And
he got a nice splash in the Freeman when he announced.
Yeah, he got a splash, and then he's out, and then he disappears. And
he disappeared for the campaign. What was his slogan? Do you remember his slogan?
No, I don't remember.
Kyle for Congress.
Kyle for Congress. Oh boy.
See?
Yep, and that's why he came in second. That's the guy who's always going to come in second. So, in my opinion, when you're running against an incumbent, and I've done this successfully, as you know, you have to put the incumbent on the defensive. And the way you do that is you start early. See, when you take exception to what an incumbent is doing early in a campaign, it has much more credibility than if you decide to start your campaign
October. Yeah.
And, after Labor Day, when everybody tunes out everything that's being said. Right now, if he would step up and go after Delgado for all the things that are going on. The guy's in favor of this $3.5 trillion, spending binge. He should be destroying him on that.
Excoriated.
Yeah, on that issue. Who in heaven's name is going to pay for all of this? And instead, he's silent. And these are the mistakes that I watch and I see. I've never heard from the guy. I haven't even been invited. Now,
you couldn't even remember his name.
Remember, I am former Republican chairman of this county. Mm-hmm. I was not invited to one Kyle Vander, whatever his name is, fundraiser. How can that be? My name's on every Republican fundraising thing you can possibly find.
You didn't even get an invitation.
I never got an invitation to one of his fundraisers. No wonder he didn't raise any money. When that jerk ran against Hillary Clinton, what was his name? Rick Lazio. when that idiot ran. I had a fundraiser at my house up around the corner from where your mom lives, and I put about $30,000 or $40,000 in the guy's pocket before he left my house.
And the guy wouldn't let me come to your house.
And he wouldn't. Yeah, well, they wouldn't let you in because
That's not right.
you had to pay. It was $500. You didn't want to pony up to $500.
And you
stay
held
home.
the event at your house? And
Yeah, he was coming for the food.
I bet. I'm sure.
I always come for the food.
I bet it's really good over there.
The point is, when my brother-in-law ran for assembly, I raised a ton of money. Holly Conrad, I raised a ton of money. I don't even get invited to a fundraiser. Send me a ticket to a $25 chicken barbecue or something. Nothing. I'm not even on the list. Not to mention the fact that the guy never picked up the phone to say, hey, look, I got to touch base with some of these.
Right. You think,
Mario,
he would want to do that for his own person?
Are you getting the message yet?
I'm getting the message that my husband, was Mario who? Yeah.
You're not. You two are not a has-beens here. You guys are on point, and we love having you. So.
All right. Well,
no has-beens here.
This is all we got left. I can't even get invited to a fundraiser.
You got your children. You got good lives. Should be happy for everything.
So anyway, yeah. So, getting back to the governor's thing, I actually think that Patrick Ryan has a shot of being on this ticket. You call me crazy. They called me crazy when I said the day after she was elected that Letitia James was going to be the next governor. I don't know. I'm starting to look pretty good here.
You're only halfway home, Catalano.
I'm starting to look pretty damn good, and I'll go out to Vegas. I don't know what the odds are. They're probably 1 to 2 at this point, but I'll put some dough on that. I don't know who's doing the betting. Maybe I have to go to London but my money's on Letitia.
We should look this up, and maybe a caller can tell us. But if we're going to speculate about Pat Ryan's future, there is a in the county charter, which I think was designed by Mike Hine. In hindsight, I think he pretty much wrote that charter because it seemed to favor him in so many ways. But one of the requirements is that the county executive name his successor if he should resign, which is what Hine did.
Yep.
Which is how we got Adele. What's Adele's last name again?
Ryder.
Adele Ryder.
Ryder, yeah. Stood in for him.
Stood in for him. His chief of staff was his successor. I wonder who. I can only wonder, but it's.
Well, let me remind the listeners that this is a call-in show. So 331-9255. If anybody chooses to disagree with this assessment of the James Ryan ticket coming down the pike, come on, folks, wake up and call in for crying out loud.
Smell the coffee, will you? Oh, we got a call.
Not sure what we got. Oh, we do have a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Mario, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch. Pat Ryan is marginally good. I do agree with you on Letitia James. She's just raised so much money and has so much horsepower at this point. You really can't overcome the fundraising capability. Just look at her donations from the Real Estate Board of New York, and she's a lock. But I'd like to just mention, and I think it's important. I know we're beating a dead horse at this point on the Cuomo scandal, but the one most credible accuser, I think, would be the unnamed female state trooper, because she was not willingly on that staff. She was she had 2 years on the job when she was appointed to the governor's detail. That detail requires at least 3 years of experience before you can even apply. He, at some point, eyeballed her and had her put on his detail against protocol. And the fact that she came forward really puts a fine point on it. She's actually the dagger in the heart, in my opinion. The other ones, politically motivated, wanted to work in the governor's office, possibly young and inexperienced, but they wanted to be in that office. They had done internships or what have you, but the state trooper was handpicked by Cuomo, did not have the experience on the job to even apply for that detail, and those allegations are serious. And I think he still may stay our governor because he is that draconian. But I think she's really the most credible witness to taking him out, and that's pretty much all I got to say.
Totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree. It's interesting because I've spoken to so many people about this, and virtually every one of them agrees with your analysis that some of the others were political appointees. They were, folks who wanted something from the governor or whatever. She wanted nothing. She is more than likely the most credible of the accusers, and I was not aware of the fact that she had only been on the force for 2 years, because you're right, that's one of the plum assignments, and very, very interesting take. As far as the Ryan thing is concerned, Hughie and I have been watching this move to the left, and the one thing that became very obvious, that to me anyway, that Ryan was looking for something more of a statewide rather than a local, is the fact that he set up this political action committee and was donating to far left candidates in New York City and other parts of the state, Syracuse.
Yeah.
Now, if a guy's running or wants to be the next congressman, he doesn't need to do that. He only needs.
You're correct.
He only needs to do that if he's trying to get some street cred to run in a much larger jurisdiction. And that was the big old red flag for me in terms of, now, whether or not he's even a viable candidate for her, I don't know, but he certainly fits the job description. Male, upstate, respected, military, what more can you want from, some crazy liberal than to have a candidate, at your side who's former, West Point military officer, intelligence officer. I mean, the guy's got it all, in terms of a resume to complement her candidacy. So I'm not saying it's going to be him, but she's got to come up with somebody upstate. She's got, in my opinion, she's got to come up with a male. I just don't think a double female ticket is going to work unless maybe Kathy Hochul decides to stay on as lieutenant governor. I don't know.
I don't see that. But,
yeah.
You gentlemen have a great day and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. All right.
So you have two crazy liberals on the Democratic ticket next year.
Well, you have to admit that we are going a little, overboard on some of these, what they call progressive. They don't like the term liberal, even though that's what it is. So they've come up with this progressive because it sounds so much more meaningful,
It's progress. Social Democrat seems to be popular too.
Yeah, social Democrat. Oh yeah.
That's a little more than progressive.
And how about my friend AOC? She's going to hold up the infrastructure package.
She cannot do that.
Of course she can't. But who knows? I mean, these folks are cuckoo. So she's going to hold it up. I mean, I don't know how she's going to manage to do that when half of the Republicans in Congress will vote for it. So she's got 4 votes. she and the other 3 nut jobs
Squad.
that are part of the squad. And, maybe.
Now, Mario, you seem to be on a roll here between crazy and nut jobs and so forth. We shouldn't, I don't think as a team, we should be, I can't speak for the team, only for myself, but we shouldn't be, characterizing people who we may disagree with as crazy.
Well, I generally try to get along with everyone.
Yes, you do.
And when I was involved in politics, I, had a great relationship with my colleagues, regardless of their party affiliation. Even when I was county chairman, I had a very good relationship with the Democratic county chairman. Worked through some issues together, that kind of stuff. But these folks are really out in left field because they don't seem to be able to get along with anyone. Tell me so my definition of a crazy is someone who is, and it goes both ways. I mean, there are the right wingers who are crazy as well. When you get to the extreme, the way I see it, you're crazy, okay? If you're willing to work across the aisle, work through things together, I think a prime example is the Ulster County Legislature. I think that they have a tendency to really work together on most issues. And you don't see the extremism that you see with some of these folks in Congress. And now, I'm not saying Delgado's a crazy. I just think he's a lightweight. I think that his big claim to fame is that he's gonna do more town halls than anybody else in Congress. However, I still challenge, and the challenge goes out to Radio Land. The challenge goes out to anybody who's listening. Just give me one example. One. That's all I ask for. One example when Delgado didn't vote the way Nancy Pelosi told him. That she voted one way and he voted another way. Give me an example. I mean, listen, I am hard-pressed. I've been in politics for a long time. I was a history and government major in college, and I ran 2 big political action committees. All I'm asking for is this. I know what the makeup of our congressional district is, okay, politically. I know the makeup of Nancy Pelosi's congressional district, politically. We are so opposite that there's virtually no basis of comparison, okay? Yet, how is it that our congressman votes lockstep with somebody who's representing San Francisco, where they think it's perfectly okay to urinate in the streets, to defecate on sidewalks? Give me a break. Give me a break.
Well,
how does that happen?
Just to play devil's advocate,
please do,
Chairman. I would point out that at least in Ulster County, the county executive could be considered a liberal. The mayor, who we just had on in the previous segment, is a liberal.
But they're not crazy.
No, but I'm saying that
I'm talking about extremists here.
No, none of these people are extremists, but they're not Republicans either. And the makeup, as you say, the makeup of this district has, I think, it's evolved. I think when Maurice Hinchey was first elected, this was more the district that you and I grew up with. It was probably a moderate to conservative district.
I think it's still a purple district.
All right, the word is purple. Thank you. I think it's shifted to the left.
Yeah.
Which may not be such a bad thing. When you get to the fringes, then crazy things happen.
Yeah.
On both fringes.
Oh, absolutely. And so when I refer to crazies, AOC is a crazy.
No question.
So I think that most of the folks in the country would agree that she's a fringy. And there are folks on the other side. There's this woman, I can't remember her name, this Republican who from Georgia, who's completely out to lunch. I don't have any fondness for her. She may be a Republican, but if you're a Republican and you're crazy, you're no friend of mine. If you're a Democrat and you're crazy, you're no friend of mine. I mean, I like centrists. I'm a centrist kind of guy. I probably wasn't the greatest Republican chairman because I wasn't, I didn't have this stone wall around me on Republican issues.
But let us recall that it was the late Senator Richard Schermerhorn who said the only thing you find in the middle of the road is yellow lines and dead skunks.
Well, yeah. Wasn't he removed from office?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
No, he
well,
was voted out. No, he was not removed. He was voted out.
All right,
He still got 45% of the vote that year.
I rest my case. Yeah. That's only.
And he went to jail.
Yeah, and he went to jail. Okay, well, yeah, he's right. I mean, to a certain extent, but you also find some interesting people in the middle of the road. Yeah. Okay. So we have another caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
We are doing well.
You guys got a great show as always, and to tell you the truth, Delgado is joined to Pelosi at the hips.
Okay.
Whatever she tells him to do, he will do. And I've called his office a number of times on a bunch of different issues, and they say we'll pass the word on, but guess what? He still votes the way Pelosi wants him to vote.
Now, do you agree with my assessment that his opponent should be attacking instead of sleeping through the campaign?
You got that right. We need that guy, if he wants to have any shot at all to get elected, he should be out there now. He should be at the Ulster County Fair. He should be at the Dutchess County Fair, starting to get his face recognized out there, and he should definitely be making a lot of noise. Because, like you said, that $3.5 trillion, our grandkids are going to be having to pay that back. Where is the logic down in Washington that says that you could keep putting all this money and keep running up all this debt and not having to pay any of it back? It's ludicrous. I don't know about you, but I lived on a budget all my life. And you have to budget what you expended. You did without stuff that just so that you can make sure that you don't go too far in debt.
Right.
The federal government is like, hey, it's just a number. We don't care what it is. But
well, that's because we continue to buy Chinese products.
Yep.
And then they take the money and loan it to us to go deeper in debt. And it's an interesting spiral. We'll probably pay the debt back in Chinese renminbi.
Well, we'll pay the debt back when China takes over this country, which is going to happen. But I tell you what, the other thing that galls me is here they are talking about mask mandates and everything else coming back, right? What about closing the southern border and stop shipping all those people that have COVID or won't get tested for it or won't get the vaccinations all over the country? Where is the logic in that? You go to tell me I have to put a mask back on after I got vaccinated, but yet you could leave that southern border open. You could have closed our border with Canada. You could have closed our border with Europe, but yet those people could come through unchecked. Where is the logic? There is none.
Well, where's the logic of not finishing the border wall that was already paid for? The equipment and material was sitting on the ground, and the contractors were already paid.
And approved by Congress. So technically, when they do that, you can't stop that.
And in order to make a statement, because they still have Trump derangement syndrome, in order to make a statement, they decided not to complete the border wall. I mean, come on. Guys, give me a break.
Which I think Texas is actually picking up and going to handle the rest of the 300 miles, right, Mario?
Yeah. You got the Keystone Pipeline that was started, and they stopped that. And then they go ahead and approve Russia's pipeline, which is an enemy of us.
Well, listen, thank you Thank you.
I appreciate you guys being there. You guys have a great show and everything else. And good luck. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All righty. Thank you. And don't forget the Ulster County Fairs this week.
I'm there working the American Legion booth all weekend.
All right. Congratulations, and thank you for your service.
It was an honor.
I'm here
to
with
serve this
the
country
former
back
Legion
then.
commander. I'm going to send him down there.
Good. Well, I'll be there about 1 o'clock today, and then all weekend.
Which post do you belong to?
I belong to the town of Esopus, post 1298 here in Fort Ewan, New York.
Oh, that's a good post. That's where I started, 1298.
Right, and I'm past commander, now I'm the finance officer. The next year I'll probably be going back to commander.
Attaboy. Thank you
Right.
so much.
Yep, you guys have a great day.
All righty.
Bye.
That was George Post. He's an avid listener, a very big supporter of Kingston Community Radio.
Good for him.
And I didn't know he was a commander either. I didn't know that you were a commander, Hugh.
4 times.
Wow. That's like becoming the president of a Lions Club.
I've occasionally
entails
been a
lot
member.
Of work.
I've occasionally
Yeah,
been
Mario's been in and out as a
He's
member.
trying to get me back in. I think I might go back. I might
right,
go back. You
Now,
know.
what post are you at? Are you at 150 on Broadway?
Yeah, 150. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time. You guys, excellent show. Even my mother texted me, said, absolutely great. So awesome.
Well, that's
show
what
today.
counts. When Mom likes us,
we'll
we'll be back in 2
giving you
weeks.
a thumbs up. You know you guys are good to go. So, everyone, have a great weekend. Thank you guys for the great show, and we'll be back in a couple weeks.
All righty.
All right, we'll see you Monday with Medical Monday.
All righty. Bye-bye.